What's up, traders? Eric here from MajorLeagueTrading.com, and I'm finally back at the desk. And of course, as it seems to be when I'm not at the desk, which was Thursday, Friday, Monday here, we get some absolutely massive moves. So I think to recap here, just to see the things in which have kind of taken place here, the market's managed to get a pretty decent little pullback, last week or so, or even the week prior. And on Wednesday, we got this gap down, we traded sideways. Thursday, we got a gap up that comes down, rechecks the lows, and then absolutely rips to the upside there. And going into the end of the day on Wednesday, it's like, okay, cool. Thursday, we're probably going to try and go higher here. And then ultimately we get this gap down and just completely erase the entire move from Wednesday there. And then Friday Monday kind of throws a little kink in that where it's like, hey, we gap up and then we basically take out the whole red bar and look like, hey, maybe this does want to go higher, and then get absolutely annihilated to the downside. So while, yes, there were some big moves in there, I think there was also some very tricky kind of action in which was taking place there. But today ultimately made a lot of sense here. And what I wrote this morning, and this is the morning write-up. So, again, typical market fashion, absolutely crazy markets while I'm gone. But at the moment, here's what I like. I like the daily chart for more downside, but it would also make some sense to see a small green candle in here first and give ourselves a little 1, 2, 3 type action for lower tomorrow. We, of course, could just fall off the cliff today and push down into 50-37s. Which would make for a nice move. Now, again, that 50-37s on the S&Ps is going to be our next target to the downside here in terms of shorts. Now, what I talked about there being like a daily 1, 2, 3 pattern here, that is ultimately kind of set up, right? We've got that big drop on Monday. We've got this small little bar here today. And then the way I think in which this ultimately plays out is one of two ways, right? We manage to pop tomorrow. We get up through these highs of 506.53s. And then from there, we fail those and we come back down. So maybe we open here, call it 504s. We rally up on maybe some sort of news in the morning, something like that, whatever it might be. And we take out these highs and then roll over from there to go ahead and get down and tag those 50-37s. Now, the other way here, which is also valid, is if we are able to get under 502.92. This was the level in which needed to ultimately break here for us today. And you can see that we just, basically tested it a bunch of different times here and managed to hold up pretty nicely. On my Instagram, I talked about, the fact of today maybe being a range day and kind of what I would look to see for that. We also kind of talked about, that 1, 2, 3 type action here. For a little bit of a range day, here. And ultimately what I was looking at is, hey, if we could break through yesterday's low and then chop back towards the open, then I'm going to basically consider this to be a range-bound type of day. And we ultimately ended up doing that, right? So we broke through yesterday's low a little bit. We came down here, almost tagged the level, which we front ran, which was kind of important, right? Because when we front run a level, in this case, it was only by 3 cents. So 502.95 was the low down here. It would make sense that we come back down and go ahead and test this level and then chop back up to the opening print. So all of those things did ultimately make some sense. Now, I did take one trade today, which was ultimately right here. Now, I didn't trade it in the SPY. I traded it in the S&Ps here. And my big target for this was going to be 51.20 quarters, which I thought was going to trade first on the day and then, probably take us lower from there, just looking for some sort of divergence or something to occur up here. So what I saw was, hey, we got this little push under yesterday's low. I waited for this move to ultimately happen, come back up, test the open, pull back. And then I talked about this in the chat really, really extensively here. I was giving out exactly what I wanted to see here, somewhere up here in 5102s, 5101 areas. And all I said here was I wanted to see a spike down under 9650s. 9650s was an important line for me that I wanted to see us break. And then from there, I said, hey, if we can ultimately get that break under 9650s and then get back up through it, then like, okay, cool, I'm interested in long. So I was able to pick up an entry in here right at 50.97s. We dropped down, we traded these 94.75s. That's our push through 96.50s that manages to get back above it. Something that was super cool about this one though, just here specifically on this bar, was that at the same time, we had the NASDAQ pulling back to test the open. So I gave myself two different sets of criteria. I said, hey, S&Ps can trade under that 96.50s, but the added thing I wanted to see there, which is in the Discord if you guys go back and check that out, is I wanted to see either the Dow get a divergence or NASDAQ to hold opening print, which you can see does very, very well. Spikes down here and then manages to rally up. I mean, this is a quick 50-point rally out of the NASDAQ coming off of opening print. Now, if we look at that for the Dow here, the Dow ultimately didn't give us that divergence down here, which would have made this, I think, even better, but we did have the catalyst of NASDAQ holding that opening print. So we were looking at these things, trading them off of one another here in terms of the indices. Now, I could have managed this a little bit better here personally. I talked about this, hey, once we get up through the new highs on the day here, we'd want to hold opening print on any kind of pullbacks. You can see how well that tested over here. And we didn't do that. So as soon as we dropped down here towards 5104s, 5103s, I said, hey, a retest of 5107s, i.e. opening print in here that rejects, and I'm going to go ahead and flatten this position. So I ended up with entry down here 50.97s, and I got out at just under or just over 51.02. So it's good for give or take 5 points here across the board in this trade. So I gave back about 8 points here from the highs, 51.10.50s being those highs there. But again, I was looking for that 51.20 to trade, which it ultimately did later in the day. So you can see we ultimately came up, tagged this level, also got the overnight lows, which were from back over in here, down over in there, and then managed to make that move up and tag those highs. So purely a range-bound type of day here. Hopefully you guys did not get caught up in this. That's going to be my plan. Wow, 7-minute video already. That's going to be my plan here going into tomorrow. I want to keep an eye on that SPY level and kind of pair whatever it is I'm going to do in these futures with that plan, either the break above or the break under the level, and then look for my entries and my criterias and things from there. So that's what I got. Let me know if you guys want me to leave again, because this is the action when I'm back. And this right here is the action when I'm not at the desk. So the choice is yours. You can pay me to leave. I will be happy to do so. But I would like to potentially catch that short tomorrow first. So don't kick me out just yet. But hopefully you guys are doing well, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.